In the wake of the financial crisis, the fortunes of Greece and Ireland may not have seemed very different. Both countries were in the economically troubled PIGS group. But fast forward 5 years and at least Ireland is making progress. I'm joined today by Alan McQuaid to discuss further. Alan, Ireland as a success story continues in today's employment figures. What do you make of the latest data feed, and what lessons should Greece learn from Ireland?
Well, I think the data on the labour market is very positive. The unemployment rate is now at 10%, having peaked at 15.1 back in February 2012. So we've seen a steady decline there. It looks like we'll be back in single digits next month, and we're well below the Eurozone average now of 11.3%. But I think Ireland in some ways is unique because I think its close ties with particularly with the US and UK have been a huge plus for the country, and clearly those two economies have performed very well on the global stage over the last year or so. I think Ireland, the fact that English is its main language, has helped. So I don't necessarily think that Ireland, the situation in Ireland can be replicated as easily in the other countries. But I do think there's a message that, and in fairness to countries like Spain, you've seen it that once you get on with it, I think you can address the issue and make progress. But it has been a rough ride, not just for Ireland, but for most countries. And even with the numbers getting better, I think there's still an element of huge debt burden overhanging many families.
The IMF also recently lauded Ireland's progress. The fund acknowledged next year's elections and cited recent polls which show a rise in support for the coalition parties, and said the water charges are becoming less heated in discussion. Do you think this is indicative of the sentiment among Irish people, though?
Well, I think we started off with the employment data, and clearly, if the labour market is improving, and you're seeing a fall in numbers out of work, that's going to boost, I think, sentiment among households and individuals. Consumer confidence is a 9-year high at the start of the month, at the start of the year. So I think there's every chance that the improving labour market, will help things for the government. That said, I think water charges are still an issue, and there are still demonstrations going on. But a lot of people have complied with the implementation of it. It's a close call in terms of how the election will play out next year. Clearly, there's still a strong support for Sinn Féin, which would be seen as an anti-establishment party. Even if they were to come to power, I wouldn't be as worried about the whole negativity that you might find with the likes of the possibility of Podemos getting elected in Spain, and what you're seeing in Greece with Syriza.
The IMF also said Ireland's growth is expected to remain robust this year, bolstered by the European Central Bank's ongoing bond buying programme. But looking forward, what is your growth outlook for the country?
Well, I think last year we posted GDP growth of 4.8%, which was by far the best performance in the Eurozone. I think we have our central bank here this morning has issued its latest bulletin, and they're saying 3.8% growth this year. I think most commentators would say it'll be in and around 4 again. It could be just slightly below 4, slightly above 4, but I think it will once again be the strongest performer in the Eurozone. I think 2016 we'll see it again top the league table of growth. So I think we're well on our way. I think we're obviously benefiting, as you say, from the QE and the falling euro. As an open economy, trade is such a big part of our GDP and our performance, and the huge fall in the euro is going to be hugely beneficial for Irish exports in both terms of goods and services. Obviously we've already seen a sharp rise in tourism numbers, and I think the fact that we've made competitiveness gains as well, I think before that should lend to a very strong performance. But I think the most encouraging thing that the central bank pointed out as well this morning is that while exports have been key and will be key again in this year and next, there is clear signs that domestic demand is picking up, and that's very, very encouraging. So it's a more broadly balanced recovery than had been envisaged maybe 6 to 12 months ago.
Alan, great to speak with you. Thank you. Well, that's all from Alan and myself. Thanks for watching, and please click back for all of today's programmes, including press review, forecasts and industry catch-up. Goodbye for now.